If you want to write a book and become a best-selling author, you're in the right place. At Elite Online Publishing, we can help you create, publish, and market your book so that it becomes a #1 bestseller. We work with a limited number of authors to ensure that they receive the best possible service. So if you want to learn how to write and publish a book that will empower you to smartly grow your brand, business, and credibility, apply today. We look forward to working with you.
Hey everyone, Melanie Johnson here with Elite Online Publishing. We have our Elite Publishing podcast. So glad you could join us. All right, I have a great, fantastic author. His book recently came out. It's called Beyond High Performance, and it's by Jason Jaggard. And he also has his sidekick here. I'm going to call you sidekick, CJ. I hope you don't mind. All along. So we're going to get two perspectives, but we're going to talk about how he wrote his book, and some really fantastic things have happened to him. And his book has only been out for like 6 months. So welcome, Jason and CJ.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me on the show.
So tell me, why did you want to write a book?
Oh man, well, it's my second book, and I love writing. I think that's probably, if you are listening to this and you just love the written word and communicating ideas through writing, it's just the best. And so I've been writing. I've written articles my whole life. I wrote a book 10 years ago, and so it's just one of my. I love the art form. I like writing. I like reading books about writing, like Stephen King's book on writing. So I'm just I'm a bibliophile, and so it's something that came really naturally to me.
That's good, because a lot of people are not writers, or not, like, it doesn't come natural, so they have to fight doing that. So tell me a story. You kind of alluded to this in our green room over here. Yeah. If I were to say, because of my book, what has happened to you?
Yeah, great question. Well, I mean, we hit the USA Today bestseller list, and that's super fun. And by the way, so the book is written by me, and then the coaches of Novus Global and the faculty, the Meta Performance Institute. And CJ is actually, he's on the show here because he's one of our coaches. And so he participated in the creation of the book. And then he also is one of our faculty at the Institute. So he wears many hats in our world. And so it's fun to bring him in. But in terms of what it's done for us, I mean, one is, if you write something you're proud about, and I think that's a big thing. I would say my first book, I'm glad I did it, but I wasn't necessarily proud of it when it came out. With book number 2, 10 years later, I had a commitment to swing for the fences, and we can maybe get into the nuts and bolts of what that looked like. And I'm very proud of this book. I really love it. You want to love, it's important for you as a writer to love what you write. And that's not always true. So that feels good. And what it's done is, man, I mean, the stories of people's lives changing, if that was it, that would be great. That's like the bullseye. And then just, frankly, people will read our book and then say, how do I become a coach? And then they'll go through our institute. People will hear about our book and they'll reach out and want to work with CJ or one of our other coaches. I mean, it just it's made everything else that we do easier. And I will say, maybe Melanie, you might disagree with this, but I think you might agree with it. Like, I would say, don't write a book if you want to make money, but write a book if you want to make the ways you add value in the world easier, and that will lead to more money. But it's not the book. Like, we don't look at the book as a money generator for us. We look at it as a value generator for us, and it's different.
That is a great way to look at it, because, I tell people a book is forever, right? How many times have you bought a book from someone who's not even alive anymore?
That's right.
So it's a legacy piece, and it's something you're going to give back for generations to come. Yes. So that's really the number one thing. And really telling the story of what you want to be talking about. Like, how did you decide what you wanted to write about for this book? Because I tell people, like, this is now going to be a cornerstone for your brand. Yeah. It's going to be a platform for you, and it's going to be content that you're going to be using in so many different ways. So how did you figure out for the second book, what exactly do I want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, really, we saw a need in the market, so so the book was written to answer the question, what do you do when you're already good at what you do? And how do you go beyond high performance? And a lot of people, if you're listening to this, you may not be the best in the world at what you do, but you're probably pretty good at what you do. And a lot of people really struggle to answer that next question. Like, our clients are professionals, athletes. And, if you Google most famous people on earth, we have clients on that list, and we have people running multi-billion-dollar companies. And then we have people who are running, like small shops and entrepreneurs, and they're all pretty good at what they do. And they're looking for that next level, that next gear. And so we wanted to give them the tools to do that. And it was easy for us to pick the topic because it's our life's work. Like, our coaches are obsessed about this. And we have been for almost 10 years. Like, we've been in the trenches working with people. And so we had this knowledge. And, coaching is a financial investment. It can be a little expensive for some people. And so we wanted to create something that would help people without having to make that huge financial investment. And that was the inspiration. That was the heartbeat for every piece of this, is how do we make these tools that are hard to access for financial reasons and make it democratic for everyone. And the book was our solution for that.
So that's great. You had complete clarity, because so many people come to us that have a business and they're like, well, I want to write about my life. I don't know if I should write about this part of my business or that part of my business. So I like that you chose like the core part of your business to write about it, so it supported that in the same way.
For sure.
Figure out how you wanted to publish it and choose a publisher and decide, self-publishing versus traditional publishing.
Yeah.
Just through your thought process of all that and how you came up with your decision.
Yeah, well, the first book we did traditional publishing. I had an agent, and we worked through an imprint of Random House, and I got an advance, and that was all really pretty miraculous, actually. I was pretty grateful for that. A typical author gets paid, let's say, X amount. I got paid 9 times that. It was one of those moments on the phone when I'm sorry, did I hear you right? Did you say this amount? I actually flew to the publisher after the book came out to apologize to them for losing so much money on my book because it didn't sell particularly well. But that was, even that though, that was such a great experience. It was a great experience having an agent. It was a great experience getting all these rejections. It was a great experience getting, to work with Random House. And it was a great experience having it not work. It was.
How much time did it take from getting the agent to actually having a book? Because I tell people usually it takes longer than they think. Well, first of all, how long did it take you from starting to look for an agent? Because you're like,
Yes.
okay, I'll look for an agent, finding the agent, getting the publisher and getting published. How long?
Yeah. Well, CJ is going to write several books someday, and I'm very excited about that. So I'll talk to him too. It just takes way longer than you think. And for my first book, I was so lucky. I had the right relationships. And so finding an agent didn't take very long, probably a few months to find a proposal, to get the proposal to the right publisher. But then it takes forever. And, so for Beyond High Performance, we decided to go through a hybrid publishing option. And so, which takes a lot more capital. Back then, 10 years ago, I didn't have as much capital. The
Right.
company's grown and all of our coaches have gotten really good. And I'm a coach sometimes too. And I charge, what I charge. And so we were able to allocate some capital to putting upfront costs. And that was a decision we made. And also, what I love about hybrid publishing is our book's on our 3rd printing, which means we've made changes to it. And so it's a better book now than it was 6 months ago. And that's really rewarding. And we own it. When you go through a publisher, they own your work. So if I wanted to make a change in my first book, I had to buy the rights back or whatever. And with hybrid publishing or maybe online publishing, right? You get to control it. And I loved all of that. And I'm very proud that we went the route that we went. And it's been so far a great experience. And it takes forever. So I would say it takes about 5. So sorry, I'm working on book number 3 now. And I would say I'm giving myself 5 years, a year for research, a year for the first draft, a year for a working draft, a year working with a publisher, and a year-long launch strategy to get it on bestseller lists and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. I'm going to say that should be a lot shorter.
I got a full-time job, Melanie.
I realize that. The writing and the research, yeah, I can understand that takes a long time.
Yeah.
But the publishing and marketing part shouldn't take a whole 2 years to do that.
I appreciate
and to have
that.
a successful, huge book. We'll have another conversation about that. But really, honestly, people tell me, when should I start promoting my book? And it's the moment you start writing it. And
That's right.
You should start having that conversation and incorporate your tribe into that. Hey, I'm coming up with a new book. Hey, here's some options of titles. What do you think? Here's some options of subtitles. Is this something that you would be interested in?
Yes.
So you're engaging them through the whole process. And I tell people too, and this is true for you, whoever you work with, it's like the analogy of you're building a house, right? So you're building this house and you've ordered no furniture. So the house is your book. So now you've built the house is done. But you can't move in because you don't have a mattress, you don't have a sofa, you don't have anything. But if you're ordering the furniture and picking the furniture out while you're building the house, then when the house is done, you're ready to move in and start having a party the first day.
Yeah, that's right.
My advice is, while you're getting that manuscript, working on it during that year of back and forth, that you're also starting the marketing and starting to work with your publisher to create the book cover and send that out. Yeah. I mean, realistically, when we work with an author, we do a VIP day and they get 1/3 of their book written in a day, right? And then it's moving forward with that. But then we're doing everything else. And then within 8 months, 6 to 8 months, the book is launched and they're talking about it. It's done. So
that's awesome.
So the reason I'm coaching you on this is think about
Yes.
that first whole year that you're like, okay, or if those 5 years, that book isn't working for you as a tool and a marketing tool. You've
Yeah.
lost that time. It's like you have something to sell, but you're keeping it a secret and you're not selling it. So you've lost revenue for the same investment that you're going to make, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
No, that's a great point. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. So that should be a little shorter, but I'm so excited that you're writing another book.
Thank
So,
you.
so why would you tell somebody else that they should write a book for their business?
Oh man. Well, one is maybe my short answer is maybe you shouldn't, but and
Because it is a time commitment for sure.
it's a time commitment, and I think it's really important. I get to draft off of the work of dozens of other coaches in their lives, and so I feel like I had something to say, but also I felt like our community had something to offer.
Yeah.
And you do, if you're thinking like what is it you want to say and why? Where's the authority that you have to say it? When I wrote my first book, I had a mentor of mine say, "Hey, man, you may want to wait a while to write this. It feels a little premature." And two things are true about this. One is he was absolutely right. It was premature, and I'm glad I did it anyway because it was an experience and I got my reps in and all this kind of stuff. And so I want you to think, if you're thinking about writing a book, like, does it burn in you? And I'm hesitant to say this because I know more books is better than fewer books. And you really want to have authority with what you're up to, and I would encourage you not to think of it as a marketing tool first. Whenever I read a book and I can tell it's a brochure, that really irritates me. And write your book. So even if it's a brochure, okay, fine, I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth, but I really want to challenge people. And this, I want to challenge you. This is why I'm taking 5 years, I suppose, is I want it to cook. Like I want the crock pot. The books that I write are not marketing things first. They're things that I believe, and I want to earn the right to say things. And the next book I want to write is hefty and moral even. And I'm young, and I want to like have a few more laps around the pool before I say this kind of treatsy of what I think the purpose of life is.
Yeah.
And you can you can just tell when I wrote this. And I also don't want to write a book that's just full of my opinions. I want to do research. I want to talk to people at UCLA, and I want to talk to scientists, and I want to see what the neurophysiology is, and I want to go deep, and I want to talk. What about the Stoics, and what about like ancient Hebrew, literature and everything like that? And so it's just and maybe your thing is like marketing, and so you want to write a book about marketing, so maybe you don't need to talk about Seneca in order to write a book about marketing. But those are my initial thoughts on terms of why write a book is hopefully you have something to say, and then say it as best as you can.
I think that's so true for like, especially a thought leadership book. Like that takes you into that whole thought leadership agenda of really having something deep to say.
Yes.
And you have the background and the years to back it up.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? That's a good point because not every book is a thought leadership book. And actually, Melanie, so you're the expert at this. So what are some other categories? If someone's listening to this and they shouldn't wait, they need to write a book right now. What are some categories where they should just pull the trigger and reach out to someone like you to just, because it doesn't need to be Dostoevsky,
Right. And we do both. And I'm all about, because I did a TED talk on leaving a legacy. And it is, there's so many people that have accomplished so much in their careers that they need to be sharing that with the generations to come.
Yeah.
And have that really hefty thought leadership book that they're sharing their knowledge with somebody else.
Yes.
Those are for people like, that maybe were presidents of a large corporation that are now transitioning to something else, or they're even staying there, that they're ready to do that they have that behind them. Then you have people like, we had an author who was starting her marketing company. So it's like, yes, get something out there that says, you've had marketing experience. This is who you are. This is why you started your business. This is what I know. And so that you could give that out as a marketing tool to someone and say, oh, wow, not only does she know what she's talking about, but I like her as a person and her stories and her background that I want to hire her. So, and another thing I think that people don't think about, like, and I don't know if you're doing this with your book, but I tell people when you have a book, you've now created thousands of pieces of content.
Yes.
Your company can turn your book into, 20 blogs, 20 articles.
Yep.
How many quotes can they pull out of that to put on social media? And plus, when you're going through and you wrote a book about the core of your business, the process of doing that almost is your business coaching yourself. Because you're analyzing each process because you're talking about it and saying, well, I got to explain this to someone. maybe we should do this in a different way. Or, you're creating the gaps and the meta performance that you talk about yourself by writing the book.
Yeah, that's right. And it's worth saying, when most people think of a book, they're thinking like a 250 page hardcover thing. And, one of my favorite books ever. So Jim Collins wrote obviously Good to Great, and most people know that one.
Yeah.
But he has a paperback monograph that's like 75 pages, and it's Good to Great in the social sector. And he's just coming at his content from another place. And I love that little monograph. I like bought bulk, and so if you're thinking about writing something, you don't have to squeeze 75 pages of ideas into 250 page hard copy.
Right.
Pick the right length that works for what you're trying to say. And then that can be done really quickly. And then you can be really proud of it because it is what it is. You're not trying to make it this grand thing. You're trying to make it a short, digestible thing that's going to be helpful for people and let people know about what you do.
And that's, today's, we tell the pocket is like 150 to 200 pages is where we want you to be, because people want fast consumable stuff. They're
that's
not
right.
The extra big, thick book.
Yeah. By the way, I'll also say, if you're thinking about writing, we have a lot of coaches in our firm that are like, I want to write. I'm like, great, post something on Instagram. And then they don't.
Yeah.
I want to write, post. Is that you, CJ?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
He's talking to me right now.
I'm going to give you one more tip. So let's say you already have your book out, like even the first book that you did, you can take either of your books. It made me think of, the 75 page, and you can do a summary of your book for someone who doesn't want to consume all that and publish that.
That's a great idea.
Here's the summary. Here's my book. And then if you just want the quick summary of it, here for half the price, you can get the summary of my book. Boom. So it's another way to get your audience engaged. You're launching another book. It's another reason to have a media campaign about it and get another audience that has that shorter attention span.
Yeah. Well, I love, Melanie, it sounds like what you're really good at is taking all the work that goes into a book and squeezing all its value, not just a hard copy or a paper copy or whatever, but content and blogs and everything. And CJ was a part of this. We did a book club internally for our company because we wrote it not only for others, but we wrote it for ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we recorded the book club. And so then we have all these conversations of some of the best coaches in the world talking about the book together and how they apply it to their lives and their practice and everything. And then we chopped it up and put it online for free so that other people can kind of be a part of our book club and participate. And it was like, we're going to do the book club because it's good for us. How do we squeeze as much value out of it? And my guess is if we were talking for another hour or so, you would have about 1,000 more tricks of how to squeeze value out of the publishing process.
We would. And that's why, work with a publisher that does that for you. So it's not put your book on Amazon and then you're like, okay, they put my book up, but now I got to figure out how to squeeze the value out. You want to work with someone who is, part of your team when they come on board to help you with all of that. Well, tell everyone where they can reach you and get your book.
Well, CJ's on, by the way. Hi, CJ. How are you?
Yeah. Hey, I'm doing well, guys.
he was great. We have a chapter on integrity in the book, and CJ's thoughts and fingerprints are all over that chapter. And you can find CJ on Instagram. Is that your main place? Or you have a website too?
Yeah, CJ Martindale on Instagram is the main one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm on there on Instagram. And then novus.global is where you can find out our firm. And then mp.institute is where you can figure out our institute where we train people how to create six-figure coaching practices.
Terrific. Well, thanks for joining us today. Go grab his book. It's on audiobook. It's on hardback. It's on paperback. I think it's on ebook too. So grab all the formats, what one works best for you. And we'll see you next time. If you're looking about information about publishing, we're the place to be. And if you want to become a best-selling author, reach out to us at eliteonlinepublishing.com. See y'all next time. Bye-bye.
If you want to write a book and become a best-selling author, you're in the right place. At Elite Online Publishing, we can help you create, publish, and market your book so that it becomes a #1 bestseller. We work with a limited number of authors to ensure that they receive the best possible service. So if you want to learn how to write and publish a book that will empower you to smartly grow your brand, business, and credibility, apply today. We look forward to working with you.